Just Gay Stuff. We look like a pair of parrots in the video.
Do we?
Because I was doing these ones.
Oh, and I was like this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Just Gay Stuff podcast. I am Jess.
And I'm Lauren.
And after this little brief moment of silliness, Lauren and I, as you know, if you've been here from the beginning, are always a small amount behind the 8 ball. We have to spend a couple of minutes in this episode celebrating a milestone that has passed us by.
I can't believe it's gone already. Like,
I don't.
What?
The milestone is on January 24th, it was 1 year of Just Gay Stuff podcast.
Woo! That's mental.
Between getting our episodes ready for everybody listening and getting them ready for airplay on Joy FM down in Victoria, if you don't know, we are part of Joy FM. We seem to have missed that very important date. So we're going to do a few mentions of appreciation while we have your attention.
Oh.
Do you have anyone you want to thank, Lauren?
You.
Me?
Yeah, well, thank you for being by my side and putting up with this silliness.
Aw, that's cute.
Throughout this podcast. I think just thank all our listeners from all over the world. I think that's the main thing.
We are currently in 46 countries, which is mental. I do want to say thank you to all of our friends and family that when we brought up this crazy idea kind of egged us on and told us to do it. And yeah, of course.
Everyone, and thanks to all of our incredible guests.
Yeah, everyone who has listened, everyone who has joined us so far on episodes, and some of the most important people are those that have told their friends and spread the word, giving us such an amazing audience. So we are super grateful. We can only achieve what we've achieved because of all of you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So to celebrate 1 year of Just Gay Stuff podcast, even though we're a bit late, we are doing...
I think we're always a little bit late, let's be fair.
We are. We're behind the 8 ball every time. We are doing Worst First Dates Volume 6.
Woo!
We thought we would do a fun episode to celebrate 1 year.
I love the fun episodes.
And because we love listening to your disaster stories and we love that you share them with us and with everyone else.
I'd say it makes me feel better about myself, but it really doesn't. I just feel sorry for you and want to give you a big hug.
Yeah. And you have your own Worst First Date stories that you had to put up with. So
yeah.
We all know what you've been going through. So should we kick into this?
We should.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Let me put me...
Get comf.
Get me comf on.
Yeah.
All right. I'm comf.
Here we go. Actually, I have to tell you this first.
Oh, okay.
This first one is actually not a worst first date. It's actually super wholesome.
Oh, I love
and
wholesome.
I feel like it's a great story to kick off with. So, I feel like I'm talking really fast because I'm excited.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. All right. Dear Jess and Lauren, this is my first date story that was more hilarious than it was terrible, but definitely worth telling as it had a happy ending. I awkwardly met a girl at my local doctor's surgery. Honestly, when I first laid eyes on her, I wanted to be sick all the time just to go and tell her my name. There was a period 1 year where I had glandular fever. Yuck. That's kissing disease. So I was at the doctor's quite a bit. While waiting to go in, I would make eyes at this girl across the counter and occasionally she would meet mine in return. I had zero idea if she was into girls or not, as she was a total femme, very much my type. To my surprise, one day after my stint at the doctor's, I signed into Facebook to see that she had added me.
Oh.
I guess that was a definite plus to giving a cute girl your name 3 to 4 times over a 2-week period. I accepted her friend request straight away and got right into trying to make flirty and witty conversation. Is this legal, adding patients to your private Facebook? I hope so, she replied. I felt instantly connected like typical lesbians do.
Yep.
I just thought she was the whole package. We honestly hit it off straight away. Before she even told me she was bi, I was in love. Yep, that's...
Typical.
Yep. She told me how she always found it hard to date, besides the fact that not many people interested her, but also because she lived at home with her grandma and took care of her while she wasn't at work.
Oh, that's cute.
I took this as my shot. I told her I would take her on a date and she could even bring her grandma. She laughed at this and thought I was joking, but I was absolutely serious. She joked back saying she would only date me if my glandular fever was cured. Quick wit, I liked that. When she agreed, I met her and her grandma at her grandma's favourite restaurant, an old Italian place. Her grandma was honestly the sweetest. She told her that she would sit at another table to give us privacy on our date, but that table ended up being the table directly beside us. All through the date, which was going amazingly, by the way, her gran asked us both a million questions and butted into conversation, to which we ended up just moving to her table and talking amongst us the whole time. Our first date, I dated her and her grandma and paid for all of us to eat. I had essentially taken them both to the date. It was the strangest first date, but it was absolutely amazing. This girl became my wife 3 years ago, and we lived with and looked after her grandmother together until she passed away in 2022.
Aww.
I had to share my wholesome story with you because it was definitely a weird first date, but the best ending I could have ever hoped for.
Yeah, I was like, you telling that, I was like, I really hope they end up together.
I got a bit teary
cute.
reading the end, I'm not going to lie.
That's sad. I feel like that person's grandma was their ultimate wing woman.
Yeah,
Just saying.
totally. My gran was not my wing woman. If you have listened to my story
She just didn't know.
in the episode with Being Jane Lane, my grandma voted no to the plebiscite. I just want to put that out there.
She didn't know what it meant though.
She didn't know what it meant, no.
This is story number 2. Hey Jess and Lauren, I went out with a girl from my TAFE class once. Literally was walking out the door of my morning class at 10:45 a.m. and we met for coffee at 2 p.m. I got to the coffee place bang on 2 p.m. and she was already there and halfway through a coffee. I felt this was odd because I would have waited. Anyway,
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I was like, why would you just drink half a coffee if you were already going? Anyway, I made a joke out of it and went to the counter to order. By the time I sat back down, she had finished her drink, then sat there awkwardly as I drank my coffee and tried to force some conversation. But she seemed to want nothing to do with it. Why did she agree?
I don't know.
As soon as I took my last sip, she did the old knee slap and got up to leave.
Yep.
Nobody heard me do that knee slap, but Jess saw that. I was so confused because she had asked me to coffee, but then acted like she couldn't wait to get out of there. As soon as she walked out of the shop with a big smile, she said, "Oh, well, I'm packed this way. It was nice to see you." Then promptly turned around and walked away before I could say anything. What she didn't know, because she just pissed off, was that we were parked in the same parking centre, so I ended up awkwardly following her in the same direction. I tried to walk behind because I didn't want to make it seem like I was purposely following her, but then I thought, fuck it. We rode the elevator together in complete silence until she got out the floor before me. It was the strangest encounter I have ever had in my life. The weirdest thing was she asked me to coffee, then made no effort, and this was 2 weeks into a 12-week semester. So she spent the next 10 weeks pretending like I was invisible. There were then rumours that she was actually dating one of the lecturers, and people I told our weird date story to had all said maybe she used me to throw people off being suspicious. Weirdest thing that has ever happened to me. Aww.
Can you date your TAFE lecturer?
I don't think so.
You can't, hey?
No. That's like a teacher dating a student, right?
But you're all adults when you go to TAFE.
Yeah, but it's legal educational laws.
Okay, I learnt something.
Listeners, can you date Listeners, can you date your TAFE teacher?
I don't think you could, eh?
Can you date your TAFE lecturer? Is that legal? Let us know in socials or in the comments on Spotify podcast below.
All right, next story.
Okay.
Hi, girls. This isn't a queer dating story, but a story from before I met my amazing wife. And maybe a story that made me realise I wanted a wife and not a husband.
We've all been
Fair.
there.
I went out to dinner with my best friend one night for his birthday. My best friend is a straight guy who I've known my whole life. My brother from another mother, if you will. He's literally like my family, and there was never any romantic feelings between us. I need to get that straight from the get-go.
Yeah.
While at the bar for dinner, we ran into one of his friends that he knew from hockey. My friend introduced us, and the guy made a joking gesture towards me saying that I was his hot girlfriend. Both my friend and I nipped that in the butt real quick and said we were just best friends. My friend then quite quickly added, however, that I was single and looking.
What?
I hate that when people just push you into something. You're like, no, stop it. I was very quickly asked on a date for the very next night, and I thought, what the hell, he seemed okay. We decided to meet at the same bar because it was easy. The next evening came, and I got there before he did, so I grabbed a drink and waited patiently. He eventually showed up half an hour late, and I watched as he went up to a different girl who clearly didn't know him and then found his way to me.
Second red flag.
In the space of a night, it became apparent he'd forgotten what I looked like and my name, even though I'd met him and spoken to him in person the night before.
Was this person drunk?
After reintroducing myself, he brought us around and we started conversation. It was bad. Like bleeding a stone and pulling teeth bad.
Oh no.
We had nothing in common. Something I feel like I probably knew, but like I said, what the hell? My bestie then showed up because the pub was his neighbourhood pub. And my date recognised him immediately. Suddenly, my date was Chatty Cathy, even introduced me to my friend, though he forgot my name again. He also seemed to forget my friend and I knew each other, and that was how we'd met.
What?
I suggested the three of us play some pool to kill some time, and at this point, my bestie could be the buffer I really needed. I tried to give the guy a chance to straighten up and show some personality, but I just don't think he had any. My date got distracted talking to some other people he apparently knew, and I told my friend I'd had enough and was going home. A couple of hours later, I texted my friend to see how it was going and if he was still there. My friend apologized deeply and told me that the guy ended up leaving with another girl and never came back or asked where I went.
Oh, lovely.
That was fine with me. We were certainly not a match made in heaven. However, I did see him back at the same pub a couple of months later, and he asked me on another date. Oh, now he remembered me. As you could have guessed, I politely declined.
I don't think he remembered you.
I feel like he was really drunk.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, this just sounds like a blasted person.
Imagine meeting someone in a bar, asking them on a date, and then the next day not remembering what they looked like or their name.
That's shit.
Shit.
Shiitake mushrooms. Okay. Dear Lauren and Jess, this literally sounds like the beginning of a stupid rom-com, but I once went on a blind date that a friend had set up for me that turned out to be the weirdest thing to have ever happened to me. I'd walked into a cafe on a busy Sunday morning and saw this very handsome guy sitting by himself. Thinking he looked a little different to the picture I saw, I walked over timidly and asked if his name was Jamie. He smiled and said yes, so without thinking, I just sat down. He already had breakfast in front of him, to which I made a joke that he could have at least waited for me before he ordered. He laughed and joked back, well, if I knew you were going to sit down with me, I would have. I took the joke to mean he didn't think I would have shown up, so I just laughed it off. We struck up a good conversation. I learnt a lot about him in a very short space of time. I felt like we could have just talked forever. I ate my breakfast, and after he offered to buy me another coffee so we could continue chatting. My phone kept pinging and I tried to ignore it because I didn't want it to disrupt this amazing flowing conversation. I thought it was just my friend who had set up the blind date, asking me how things were going. I finally excused myself from Jamie to go to the bathroom to check my phone. To my surprise, I had a message from Jamie saying, I'm sorry, I won't be able to make breakfast today. I've woken up feeling sick, but I'd love to reschedule. I instantly had an anxiety attack. If Jamie didn't make breakfast, then who the hell was the Jamie I was sitting down with?
This is mental.
It is mental. I went back out and said to the guy I'd inadvertently had breakfast with, were you meeting someone for a blind date this morning? He told me no, he wasn't. I asked if his name was Jamie and he said no, it wasn't, but he thought that I was in trouble and needed saving, so he let me sit down, and he was glad that I did because he had a great morning talking to me. He told me his real name and gave me his number. What started out as a complete case of mistaken identity turned out to be one of the best things to have ever happened to me. I had to let the real Jamie down, unfortunately, because I had hit it off with this guy, and we're still together now.
That's
cute. Such a wholesome, cute ending.
Literally, you
That's
could
such
write
a rom-com.
Yeah, literally, you could write a movie.
They did say that. They did say this is like a rom-com.
Do you know what? I don't remember asking for wholesome dates. Who sent these in?
Yeah. Where's the chaotic ones?
All right. Hello, ladies. I'm writing in with my story. However, it's not actually my first date. Just a first date that I weirdly ended up being a part of.
What? How does that happen?
Wait for the story.
Okay.
I work at a bar in the city and it was a busy Saturday lunchtime. I was a waiter for the specific area that I sat this couple down in. They immediately gave off that awkward first date and shy vibe. I'd serviced their table for drinks, and when it came to order food, the girl asked me for our restaurant's version of a BLT, which on the menu read BTA, for bacon, tomato, and avocado, but told me she was vegetarian, so she didn't want any bacon. Without thinking about my response, I blurted out, just the T and the A for you then. Before I realised that anything could have been taken the wrong way, the guy she was with stood up and was ready to fight me. Calm down, King. I meant tomato and avocado, not tits and ass.
Oh, that took me a while. I was like, what does T and A mean?
Yeah. This guy was 6'4" and really trying to intimidate me. If only he knew I liked men and he was my type, I feel he would have been less stressed about me trying to steal his date. I immediately apologised and my manager rushed over to intervene when he saw the commotion. They immediately were apologised to and they got their meal for free. And for safety, I got switched with another worker to a different section.
Calm down.
Not long after, the girl passed me as she was walking out. I apologised to her again, to which she laughed and handed me a $50 tip. We met 20 minutes ago before getting here, she said. I wasn't his girl and you really saved me from wasting any more time with a jerk. He stayed at the bar looking butthurt after she'd left him there, but he stared me down until he got asked to leave. My manager ended up telling him he had to go, as it was clear he had some issues and was trying to make the rest of the afternoon uncomfortable for me. I still find it funny that this tall drink of jerky water thought my little gay ass was going to steal his girlfriend. Tall drink of jerky water.
That's amazing. Tall drink of jerky water.
That is such an Australian thing to say. Tall drink of jerky water.
I think that needs to go on our t-shirt collection.
Don't be a tall drink of jerky water.
Don't be a tall drink of jerky water.
That's funny.
That's incredible.
Before you read this next one, we're going to end on this one. And it's a real kicker because when I was reading this, it literally made my blood boil.
Oh, okay.
So
let me get in the character.
Yeah, get
mindset.
in the zone. Get in the zone.
Hi, Lauren and Jess. Oh, I like when my name goes first.
It doesn't roll off the tongue as well, though.
No, it doesn't. I don't have a queer story, but this was definitely the worst date I had ever been on in my life. And I literally think I very finely escaped death. Look, we're open to any bad date story.
We got some wholesome ones.
Doesn't have to be queer. I met with
wait, before you move on. Yeah, these worst first dates don't have to be queer stories. People, send them in. It doesn't matter if it's a worst first date when you were experimenting with heterosexuality. Let's go. I want to hear it all.
I love that. Experimenting with heterosexuality.
Yeah.
Let's coin that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't think of something smarter to say then.
Just gay stuff for after you've experimented with heterosexuality.
I love it. TM.
TM.
Okay. Now into this story. I met with a guy on Tinder and we chatted for a few days before he eventually asked me out to a cocktail bar. I politely declined as I told him I haven't had the best relationship with alcohol and I'm not really into drinking. He questioned me extensively on this before asking if he found somewhere else, will I go, and I said yes. The day comes for the date and he insists on me giving him my address so he can send an Uber to pick me up. I say no and that I'd like to drive myself. So can he send me the address to wherever we're going? He insists it's a surprise and he would really like to Uber me to meet him. Oh.
Yeah, total red flag. I would not.
No, I wouldn't. I'd already be like, I'm not coming. Mm-hmm. I give him the address of a house on the adjoining street from me for safety reasons and walk down to meet the Uber.
Smart.
Yeah, that was a smart move. After being in the Uber not very long, lo and behold, it drops me at the cocktail bar I told him I didn't want to go to. This really pissed me off.
Yep.
Fair.
Look, straight away, in that very short space of knowing this person,
he didn't accept your boundaries.
They've completely disrespected your wishes.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
They disrespected your boundaries.
Yep.
I walked in and texted to ask where he was. He said now that I'm there, he'll get ready and leave as he only lives a short walk away. Nah, fuck off. Once again, I'm annoyed. Half an hour later, he walks in wearing his gym clothes. Ew. He mentioned he finished the gym an hour ago and was just chilling at home until I told him I was there. At this point, I had zero interest. He can't be on time. He's not allowing me independence. He made plans to take me to a place I told him I didn't want to go to. And he couldn't even dress for the occasion.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, hey?
I feel like I've counted like 5 red flags. The menu is handed over to us and I don't even bother to look at it because it's all cocktails and I don't drink. He tells me to order whatever I like and it's on him. I remind him I'm not a drinker, to which he tells me I should have told him that. I did. Dickhead. He acts surprised when I bring it up for him to remember that I didn't want to come to a cocktail bar and I'm sober. I order a drink anyway to shut him up and he drinks both. We were only in there for about 15 minutes and we get up to leave. He asks me if I'd like to go back to his place, which was a very quick no from me.
Yep, same.
He asks why and I tell him because I hardly know him.
Fair point.
Yeah. He agrees and then asks if I'd like to see a movie. What the hell? It couldn't get any worse. If anything, the movie would be some silence for a couple of hours. He orders us an Uber and we jump in. Again, to my surprise, we aren't pulling up to the local Cineplex. We are at an apartment block. He took me back to his place. Ew.
That is so, repulsive.
Yeah.
Just reading this is disrespect, disrespect, disrespect.
He only cares about himself. I feel disgusted reading this. Ew. Mm-hmm. My heart drops and I'm well and truly over this shit. I told him I made it clear that I didn't want to come back to his apartment. He tells me I agreed to see a movie with him and he has a great media room and didn't say he would take me to the movies. I'm over it all.
So his response is he didn't say he would take her to the movies.
He just said, do you want to see a movie?
Yeah. Ugh. So he's trying to get her on a technicality. This is like some narcissistic bullshit.
Loophole shit.
Yeah.
Have you ever been stuck in a nightmare where you just felt like every decision you made went the opposite way? Yep, that's exactly what this was. I really regretted not staying firm on driving myself. He doesn't put on a movie, he puts on stupid YouTube videos and he's laughing his ass off to them. He's engrossed in it. He tries to kiss me twice and I pushed him away. I excused myself to the bathroom and thought that maybe this was my chance to leave. I grabbed my bag, exited his apartment, and legged it down the closet stairs.
Closest.
Closest. Legged it down.
Where was she going in the closet?
Narnia. Legged it down the closest stairs. I whip out my phone to try and see what's near me, as I had no idea where I was and wanted to get out of there, but then he started blowing up my phone. Once I was outside the apartment block, I just legged it. He must have figured out that I was making an exit because he came downstairs and I could hear my name being called behind me. I've honestly never been so scared in my life. Yeah, that's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
I got to a main road near a service station, ordered an Uber and waited inside with the attendant until it arrived. Finally, when I was home, I had message after message from him abusing me for wasting his time, calling me all sorts of names. I blocked him and luckily have never seen him again in my life. Whew.
What a piece of shit, hey?
So there you have it. I definitely think it was a brush with someone who could have seriously hurt me. And if you read this out, I hope whoever is listening takes my advice. Whenever you're meeting a stranger, make sure you always have an exit strategy. Whew. Great advice.
That is so tense.
Yeah, I feel like we just went a roller coaster journey.
She wants this. He says that. She says no. He says yes. It's like push, pull, push, pull. I think great advice.
Yeah.
Lauren and I always talk about these little red flags. If anyone's dating out there, never let them pick you up from your address.
Mm-hmm. Always meet in a public place.
Yeah, always find your own way. Also, make sure your first date is public.
Yeah.
So that you're not just at this person's house. And this was so ridiculous. Like, he just had no respect for his date.
He like mentally abused this person, and like this person said, it could have very well ended up being physical abuse too.
In one evening, this person was subjected to like a lifetime of narcissism.
Yes, terrible.
Yeah.
That's the premise of a shocking TV show.
That's time to go from us, I think.
I think so.
Look, everyone, we had some wholesome stories in this episode, which is not really that fitting for worst first dates.
No, but we love to hear the positive ending out of the weird ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I feel like we also have positive ending out of weird.
Yeah, well, you're weird and you're positive.
Yeah.
You're positively weird.
Positively weird.
And that's why I love you.
Cute, love you too.
Well, I suppose until next week,
you better remember to stay gay, motherfuckers.
And happy birthday to us. Woo!
I'm talking about, you're talking about, we're talking about just gay stuff.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of Just Gay Stuff. Make sure to follow us at Just Gay Stuff Podcast on all your socials and write to us with your stories at justgaystuffpodcast@gmail.com.